Hello, friends. Welcome to my channel on Dynamics 365 F&O solutions. In this session, I'm going to start the procurement and sourcing module. I'm going to start the procurement and sourcing model from this session onwards. To start with, I'm going to share an overview of procure to pay workflow, especially the setup related overview, and then move on to the application then and there to configure those setups. Okay. Now, this is going to be a PPT and application session. So please bear with me when I change the focus to the application and then come back to the PPT on and off. So now let's go to the theory part. So the procure to pay workflow in F&O is quite exhaustive. It has got a lot of features and it's quite flexible also. It has got a workflow. It has got automation as regards to invoice, and it has got rules, execution engines. All these are set up in the application as part of the configuration exercise. Okay, now I'm going to share these steps and then perform those steps in the application then and there. So to start with, there are three major modules. And of course, the fourth one is the general ledger, which is applicable for all the modules. So what we have to do is we have to do the setups in procurement sourcing parameters page or procurement sourcing module, accounts payable module, inventory module, and general ledger module. And of course, we need to create the master data, which is related to the vendor and product. So product, of course, we already discussed. So we have to create the master for vendors here. Now, let's go to the first step, the global parameters. And the global parameters are actually the procurement and sourcing module. So let me start with the procurement sourcing module. In this, what we'll do is we'll define a PO number sequence and decide whether we want to introduce workflow and purchasing policies. Okay, for now, I'm going to just stick to PO number sequence. We'll start change management, that is workflow, a little later. In this session, I want to cover the basics configurations needed for a purchase order creation, the entire procure to pay workflow. Okay, so and then move to the advanced steps like workflows, policies, automations, etc. Okay. Now let me do this first step. Go to the PO. So the first step is to go and check the procurement and sourcing parameters. In the general tab, I need to decide whether the purchase type, whenever I create a purchase order in a procurement sourcing model, should it be journal or a purchase order? So I'm setting it up as purchase order here by default. Otherwise, what will happen is it will create a purchase journal. Okay, so there are options to know assign journal, purchase order, and return order. So for now, for to as a purchase order, no process, I'll set it up as purchase order. And then and the next is um, just to retain the same. So here, if I want to introduce the workflow, I need to activate this. Okay, I'm not doing it now. I'll do it a little later because when I have to activate the change management, if I activate the change management, then I need to set up the workflow. Otherwise, we'll get stuck. So it's a next step. We'll do it in the next phase of the purchase process. Okay. And these are the two options when we select the change management or the workflow options. We'll revisit this the next few sessions. Okay. And then that is it in this tab. And then the next is the um, just retain as it is. We don't need to change anything here. Okay. Let's retain the default. It doesn't have major impact in our plain vanilla purchase order creation. And then the prices. The prices I have already discussed these in my product information management module. Please refer to those videos. If we have to introduce the prices and discounts, okay, this tab is applicable. Okay, so this is already set up. So for those who want to understand how to define the prices, especially the line, multi-line, line plus multi-line, no parameters. It's all discussed in the earlier sessions. Please feel free to refer to those sessions. And those who are interested, please subscribe to my channel. And um, again, I'm requesting like if you understand those earlier sessions, it'll be easier for you to follow the sequence. For example, I have also discussed about this auto charges for the line, header, and uh, okay. Um, all these options are being discussed in my earlier video. Okay. So the next tab is request for quotation. So in this tab, I'm not going to touch anything. I want to start with a purchase order, and then I'll take this request for quotation and purchase requests in subsequent steps. Now, okay. The objective is to discuss about the plain vanilla purchase order process. Okay, and then again, this is a rebate, vendor rebates wherever applicable. This can be set up. Uh, I'm not touching this point here, and here this is where we need to address what is the number sequence. So I have a number sequence. I have defined a number sequence for purchase order. So I changed the default number sequence and I've added this my own number sequence. So if I go here, it will tell you what are the now purchase order format, number format that is going to be created automatically. So this is how it is going to be. It's going to be a prefix with the PO. This is a constant and then a hyphen and then a 6-digit number. Okay. So it's going to be used for both purchase order and purchase order confirmation. And these are all the setups. Number sequence I have already discussed in my earlier videos. I encourage you to go through the previous videos to understand how to set up a number sequence and how to assign a number sequence to your transactions. Okay, so I come back to the purchase order, and then that's it in this page. I mean, in this tab, and again, in we don't have anything to do here, and here as well. And then vendor collaboration is again when we implement a vendor no collaboration portal, vendor portal. We can use this for now. We are not doing anything here. Okay, and as I mentioned, purchase requisition. I'm leaving it as it is. Okay, so that's the setup related to the procurement and sourcing parameters page. Now let's go to the accounts payable module, and we have to do some setups there. Okay. So, for example, I have to set up the validation rules there, whether we want to do a two-way matching or a three-way matching, and some default execution rules, like whether we have to now implement a automatic settlement, or we have to do a implement a invoice automation steps likewise. So before we get to the application, let me I hope many of you will be aware of the invoice matching rules. So we can set up a two-way matching or a three-way matching. Okay, when I say two-way matching, it just compares the PO and the invoice value. When I say three-way matching, it will compare the value and the quantity. Okay, it will compare the value between the PO, invoice values, and when you do a product receipt, it also can checks the quantity. Okay, against the PO quantity and the invoice PO quantity. So this is where we use the two-way matching or three-way matching for no advanced PO transactions where the value is high, or for a category of purchase orders, we can implement invoice matching, either two-way or three-way. For example, in my business legal entity, I can set up a invoice validation rule like two-way matching for a spare part. I'm not the values or the prices are going to be relatively less when compared to a vehicle, and for my category vehicle, I can set up a three-way matching. So this is where we do these things in um, setups in accounts payable. So I'll take you through that briefly. So I just want to share this. Why do we need to do two-way or three-way? So this is actually useful for our implementation. Again, when we discuss with our customers, we can decide whether we want to set up a two-way matching or a three-way matching, depending on the criticality of the customers' business processes. Okay, so I would, in my practice, what I've done is I always use three-way matching. I mean, the system is going to do, and there is also an automation available, but it is even simpler to do a manual. All we have to do is we have to do a manual, no, match status, update status transaction during our invoice now posting process. I'll take you through that. When I get to the application, it will become more easy, clear. Okay, so let me go to that application now. And then after a while, I visit the application. I also want to cover this aspect. This is a simple, straightforward setup in GL. So this is actually needed to post your journals in real time, rather than putting it under a batch mode. So this is needed in order to ensure that the postings are done in real time, or quickly whenever it is available. I mean, when the engine is ready to accept the journals and push it to the general ledger module. So there's a short single step setup in GL. So these are the two things which we are going to do now. Okay, please hold on. So I just wanted to refresh this to the earlier state. Some of this was disabled in the procurement and sourcing parameters page. I noted that this was disabled. So because this was already demonstrated in my earlier video as part of the price, no, purchase agreement and trade agreements as part of my purchase agreement trade agreements video. Okay, and so let's. So these are all the parameters that we already we have set up in procurement and sourcing. And then Okay, here I want to share one aspect. So in this parameters inventory dimensions tab, if I have to include the location in my purchase order line, I need to enable this. Okay, so this is no important if my you know um, products item model group or a storage dimension has got a site, warehouse, and location. If I have a location as part of my storage dimension, then I need to enable this so that my location also gets displayed in my purchase order page. Okay. So let me show you quickly. Um, so what will happen is if I go to release products, sorry, product information management, release products. Let's say if let me check one of the products here, whether it has got a location as a storage dimension. Okay. Um, okay. So this has got a storage dimension, site, warehouse, and location. Okay. Look at this. So I have enabled location for physical inventory. Okay. So it means that I need to have a location entered, no, or displayed and entered during my purchase order transaction. Otherwise, when I do a product receipt, it has to be stored in a physical inventory location. So the physical inventory location include the site, warehouse, and location. That's why this parameter becomes important when it is no um, entered in a purchase order page, a purchase order line um, grid. Okay, so I'm setting it up now, and then vendor transactions I'm leaving as it is, and okay, and then purchase requisition as I mentioned, I'm not touching it now. Now let me go to the next. I save it. And next, I go to the accounts payable parameters. So in accounts payable parameters, I mentioned that we have to define the validation, invoice validation rules. So this is something which is now needed in the general tab. This is needed if I have to post the product receipt in my general ledger. If I don't do that, your product receipts will be just remaining in the subledger model. It will not be posted to the general ledger model. So this is needed. This switch has to be enabled if we have to post the product receipt into general ledger model. Okay. So that's one setup which we had to enable here. And then the next one, invoice. Okay. So invoice tab, there is no action needed. And here is where the next one is very important. So this is where we have to set up whether we want to do a invoice validation matching rule, um, invoice matching validation. Whether if you do that, it'll tell you whether you want to do a three-way matching or two-way matching. So when do we do this? When does the three-way matching or two-way matching happen? So this is done during our invoice page generation and posting. So once we get to the transaction stage, we'll understand what is three-way matching. Okay. So I'm enabling three-way matching always, and these are the two switches. These are the setups we had to do in invoice validation tab, and then in the ledger and sales tax, there is a posting profile. Okay, so this is where I need to create a posting profile. Okay, so I'll get this. I'll get to this point. So what we have to do is I have to create a posting profile here. New. I'll make it general. Okay. Hold on for a sec. Okay, and I need to add and let me save it here. Okay, I'm sorry. This should be deleted. Okay, now I'm going to add a code here. So, what is vendor posting profile? So, vendor posting profile is that when we do a financial transaction, as we know, the vendor balance or the liability account gets affected. Okay, this is part of the purchase order process. When we create a financial transaction, the vendor account or the vendor balance is increased, or it is called a liability account, and we need to set up a main account for that. Okay, what is that? Let me select this. I have a vendor account already created, vendor balance. So um, so this is the vendor accounts payable. I'm going to use accounts payable. It's a liability account. So I'll show you this. I'll show you the list of accounts that gets affected during a purchase order process. It come in a nutshell, and then you'll be able to understand the list of main accounts that are going to be affected in purchase order process, procure to pay process. Okay, and then the liquidity account. What is liquidity account? So this is the vendor balance account. It's a liability account, and here I need to give a cash account or asset account using which I will pay the vendor. Okay, so here liquidity account is an asset account. I need to fetch a asset account. I will I have already defined a cash account. Let me see if it is available. So I have a cash account. So this is the setup I have to do here. So what do you mean by table? It means that for a particular no vendor code, this account can be used, or it can be used for a particular vendor group, or for all. So I'm using all. Okay. So what happens is when I want to have a vendor group, for each group, I can have my own liability account, and I can have my own, cash account for dealing with different vendor groups. Okay. Now here, what I'm doing is I'm not using it at code level. When I say table, it will give me the list of vendors here. So I have one vendor here. So I can select this. I can select for each vendor what is the liability account that I should use, and no cash account or the liquidity account that I need to use to pay this vendor. So this is what it means by table. So when I say group, I need to show the vendor group. So I have a spare parts group, or I can have a vehicles group. I can select for each group. Okay, I can assign a liability account for each group level. And if I want to treat all the vendors equally or alike, I can use all, and then this becomes disabled. Okay, so this is the setup I should do in AP, and the next one was the general ledger. Okay, module where I need to make the setup. So I go to general ledger, um, general ledger parameters, and in that there is a batch transfer rule. I should make sure that it is no in asynchronous mode. Okay, so these are the steps I have to do as part of the global setup. Okay, now let's go to the next step. Okay, in the PPT. Okay, so we have done this global configuration, configure global parameters. The next is the financial posting. So we have to do the financial and physical transactions posting related setup. So what do you mean by physical and financial? So when we do a product receipt, it means that the physical um, properties of the item, that is, the inventory is getting affected. So we call it as a physical transaction. Whereas when we do an invoice, when we create an invoice and we post that, that's actually impacting the finance of the legal entity. Okay, what it means, when you create an invoice, that becomes a legitimate document, a liability document. If you're buying a product from a vendor, it becomes a contract, a valid contract or a legal document that needs to be honored, that needs to be no addressed. So that's why and it will have an impact on your um, balance sheet. So that's the reason we call this step, when we create a invoice, we call it as a financial transaction. Whereas when you receive the product from the vendor, um, it is just affecting the physical state of the product. You have, let's say, you have a no brake system quantity is 2, and you want to order a brake system, okay, because you are running out of inventory. So when you order a brake system and you receive, and let's say your pure quantity is 100, so currently it is now 2. So when you do a product receipt, the inventory gets increased by 100. So it becomes, the quantity in your inventory on hand becomes 1 or 2. So then this is called a physical transaction. Okay. And then when you actually receive it and you check, okay, everything is in good shape, I'm accepting all the 100 quantity. Now I want to create an invoice and I'll pay to the vendor as per my terms and conditions. So then you create the invoice. That's when your financial transaction is created. So there are two steps in that we have to set up. So that's the reason I have given it as physical and financial. So always remember, when you say physical, it's a product receipt, and when you say financial transaction, it is the invoice stage. Okay, so these are the, as I mentioned, we need to understand the main accounts that are getting impacted because of a product receipt and because of an invoice posting. Okay, the first step is, so we have to create a posting profile, and this is done in the inventory management setup page. And what are the accounts that needs to be configured? These are the 3 accounts when a physical transaction is created. Meaning, when I do a product receipt, these are the 3 accounts that are getting impacted. What are they? The cost of purchase materials received. This is a temporary inventory account. Please note that this is not the final, because you're just receiving. It is not a valid financial status of your inventory. It is, yes, you have received. What will happen is, maybe tomorrow, okay, you want to do a inspection and you are returning 2 out of 100. So then that's the reason it is called a temporary. That's why what we do is, whenever we do a receipt, we can park it under temporary inventory account. And then when you actually accept all the quantities which you received into a invoice stage, then you can park it, move it from a temporary inventory to your final inventory account. So that's why whenever we do a product receipt, we park everything under temporary account. That's the reason you see here all the 3 accounts are temporary. One is that the cost of purchase materials received, it's a temporary inventory account. And then the purchase expenditure uninvoiced, again a temporary expense account. And then the purchase accrual. So what do you mean by purchase accrual? It's a temporary liability account. Okay, so this is what we are going to configure now in our inventory module. And then for the financial part, what will happen is, there are 3 other accounts. Okay, the first one is the cost of purchase materials invoice. Look at it. Here it is uninvoiced, and or just materials received. Here it is invoiced. This is the final inventory account. And then the second step is the purchase expenditure for product. Okay, it is earlier it was uninvoiced. Now it is invoiced. That is, or purchase expenditure product. It is a final expense account for stocked items. Okay, so look at this again. There is a difference here. I want to categorize stocked items and non-stocked items as under 2 different accounts. That's the reason F&O has given 2 different accounts to be configured in case we are dealing with stocked or non-stocked items. For example, a stocked item is a physical item like a brake system of And a non-stock items could be a service item. Maybe you are providing a fee for the vendor to come and install a product in your place, and they charge you $100. So you want to group that as a non-service item, sorry, as a service item, or a non-stock items. So for that, we can create a separate purchase expenditure and then track it under different account. That's the reason there is a separate account for that. And discount is again optional. If the vendor gives a discount, we can park the discount under this so that it is part of your, it becomes no, visible as part of your P&L statement. Okay. And then the financial posting parameter, we have already done this. Post product receipts in ledger to yes, we have ensured that we have already done this. So these are the two things which we are going to set up now. Okay, let me do this. Please hold on for a sec. So I am in inventory management, posting, setup, posting. It's under setup, postings in page. So here I am under, I should go to purchase order. We are dealing with purchase order. So these are the accounts that we should set up. One is that cost of purchase order material received. Like I discussed, this is the product received. Received is a product received stage. So I need to check this. So look at this. This is the account I have set up here. So this is the cost of purchase material received account. This has been set up in chart of accounts. For those who want to understand how to set up chart of accounts, please refer to my earlier videos on initial setup, and that includes chart of accounts and the number sequence, so on. Okay, so this is the account that I need to map, and here the next one is the purchase expenditure uninvoiced. Again, this is related to product receipt. It is this is the expense account. Okay, so these are the two accounts. This is an expense account. Now let me show you this. Go to details. So it is so this is purchase uninvoiced. It's an expense account. Okay, this has to be configured as expense account, and the default entry is debit. Okay, so the next is the cost of purchase materials invoiced. So this is a financial transaction. So this will be hit when the purchase order is invoiced. Okay, so what is this? This is the final inventory account. It is an asset account. So this will look at this. This is the cost of units invoiced, and if you go to this details, main account details, it will show you that it is an asset account, and again the default entry for asset account is debit. Okay, so again I want to remind you that I have discussed the basics of accounting in my earlier videos. I think it is in session 5 or 6, I don't recollect it. Please feel free to go through that video. You'll be able to understand what is an asset account, what's a liability, what's an expense, what's a revenue, and the trial balance sheet, and what is the accounting formula, the basic accounting equation. All of this have been discussed in detail with examples. And if you get through that session, it will become easier for you to relate to this, what I'm mentioning when I talk about asset, debit, and credit. Okay. So this is the final inventory account that is going to be affected when I invoice the purchase order. Okay, and again this is the next one, which look at this. For all the cases I'm just giving some group. In some cases I'm giving it as group. I want to touch upon this briefly. I also discussed this earlier. So here I can make it at a table level. When I say table level, it is at an individual item. For each item, I can map this account. I don't want to do it because I need to be creating more number of main accounts for at each item level. So for this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to the group level. So what is the group? My item group is spare parts. So all the products that are coming are grouped under item group called spare parts. They will be using this main account. Okay, for the inventory update. And then when I use the table, I will use at item level. Look at this. It'll show me all the product numbers here. I need to map the product number here. Okay. Now, when I say all, this is for all the items, okay, in my legal entity. And now there is one more category called category. So when I do this category, then what will happen is my item will not be disabled. Now I can include a product category. For example, look at this. Here is when the category is enabled. I can select the car. For example, do you want this account to be used for a car, or at an automobile, at a route level, or for a motorbike, things like that, or for a truck. So this is again the product category, procurement category. The product category has already been discussed in my earlier video. Feel free to refer to that. There is a separate session on product category attributes that was discussed in the earliest one of the earliest videos. So I encourage you to go through that, and you'll be able to relate to this what I'm mentioning here. Okay. So that's it. So I'm leaving it at all level here. I'm making it as all. So the next is the purchase expenditure for a product. So this is a stocked item. So I'm using this item. Okay. So this is the description for this 310030. So this is the purchase expenditure for product. Okay. Purchase expenditure for product. I have actually defined all these main accounts already. So if you may find it something different when you just keep saying, hey, what is this already available? So this has been set up. I want to show you this how to do it if you want to do it from scratch. So all you have to do is you have to just pick this tick this tab, and then keep adding this item code, whether it is a group or a table level, or you want to do it at a category level, and accordingly you can give the values, and then you have to select the main account. Okay. All right. So the next is the product purchase expenditure product we have defined, and then discount. I have not added discount here. I can add a new one here. Okay, I can add all. I can add all account code, and then I can give a discount code. Let me see if I have a discount. Um, so I haven't defined any discount code, so I can create this. Okay. I thought I should be having a discount. Discount. So it's not there. Okay. So let me add a new. So yeah, look at this. I have this. I have already this vendor cash discount is already there. I can use this account. Okay, I can use this. It's a contra expense account. So when I say contra expense, it's actually a discount I'm getting from vendor because I'm paying earlier. I will get a discount. So it's not an expense. It's a contra expense, the reverse of expense. So it is the um, okay. Let me go here. So it's a expense, but it's a contra expense account. This is already defined. I can use this value. Okay, I was looking for vendor. I mean discount. It was not showing up, so I can use this here. Okay, so this is what now I have added this discount also. The next is the next one is accrual. We saw the purchase accrual. So this is what I said. It is a temporary liability account created during my product receipt. This is needed. So it is again at a group level. I'm using spare parts, and then I'm defining this main account here. So it is called vendor accrual. I already configured. I've added this in my main account chart of accounts. I'm assigning this value. Okay, and then purchase expenditure for expense. This was the other thing when I mentioned if we have to no track a purchase order for a non-stocked items or for a service item. So this is what it is. Okay. Again, here look at it. Here what I've done is I have included a category instead of a table. When I say table, it will show me the products. Okay. It is item table. Okay. Now what I'm doing is instead of table, I'm using category. So here the item will be disabled because it is not related to an item. The category is for, I have given a category already, product category. I have defined a product category. This is my product category I have defined for my legal entity. It's a automobile legal entity. So my root is automobile category. Under that, I have given a car, and then I have given a motorbike. And then I can add one more under car. I can go here. I can click this. I can here select spare parts. Okay. Okay. So here I can add one more. I mean, actually, it is a spare part is also a product and stocked category. So I can add a service category and then include that. So this is how I need to add. Now, right now, I don't have a value, so I can use this and then park it under a okay. Or I'll select car and I can select the car, and then this is the main account for the expense. So this is okay. This is the what is the account? It was the main account. Purchase expenditure for expense account. So these are all the steps that we need to configure. And with this, I stop this session here. I want to make sure that we go in small steps. Okay. So I now I stop this with this page, and there are a few more stuffs that I need to do. Okay. So I need to create the posting profile, and then now the transaction steps starts. Maybe I can cover this also now. Okay, let me quickly configure this also so that the setup is done, the configuration is done in this session, and then we'll start the transaction in the next video. Okay, so this is where now vendor posting profile. I need to create a vendor posting profile. Okay, this accounts payment posting profile. I think I did this configure payment schedules, two-way matching. We did this, no? Accounts payable posting profile. We did this vendor posting profile. We created a general and we added this two-way match, three-way matching, and then we did the configure payment schedules, payment terms, method of payments, bank payment format. So this is I'll do it when I go to the payment part. So this is related to the payment. So for invoice up to invoice, we have done the setup. Okay. And this also we have done financial posting parameters, enable post product receipt in ledger, inventory and warehouse. We have done this. Let me check that. Okay. So this is where I was actually, we have already done this setup also. So I mentioned that in order to, this is actually available in inventory and inventory management model, setup, under setup, inventory and warehouse management parameters. Under that, there is a inventory accounting. So here I need to enable this product receipt, post the product receipt in general ledger. If I don't do that, your product receipts, as I mentioned, product receipts will remain in your sub-ledger transactions repository and it will not flow to GL. So I enable the switch. So all the configuration part have been taken care now. The next step is to go to the transaction and start creating a purchase order. Okay. So I hope this session was useful. Now, what I'll do is in my next session, I will start creating a purchase order and then take you through this purchase order flow. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the next video very soon. Stay in touch. Stay tuned to my channel. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. And also, I always keep telling, feel free to add your comments. And I'll see you soon. Thank you again. Bye.